Oh, this is so good. Y'all are sweet to me to let me just kind of do my thing here. Okay, stay with me, all right? There are answers here. Psalm 63. He's in the desert. This is happening in real time with 2 Samuel 15:16, where we are, okay? So he's in these days and he's writing his little journal. And he says in his journal, one of these first nights, "Oh God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you, and my body longs for you in a dry and weary land where there's no water." So, here's what we're going to do. I'm not this kind of a preacher usually, but I'm going to give you like a list, all right? Here is how you survive the wilderness. Here is how you survive your broken heart over your son who's turned against you. Here's how you survive the wilderness of your best friend dissing you. Here's how you survive when you've lost everything. Here's how you survive when you've traded a gazillion people for 600. You can't even speak their language. I'm being facetious there, but I mean, he's in the wilderness, and he spills it out here, how you make it, how you survive, okay? Now, I'm not going to answer the hows, but these first couple of verses sound, I'm not trying to be religious talking, all right? But it gets a little different. Verse 1, one of the ways you survive is you keep seeking God, even in the middle of it. You stay thirsty and you keep longing like his body longs for him. Okay, but here's where we're going to go how. All right, so starting in verse 2. Now remember, David had lost all of his privileges at Jerusalem. His days in the temple over. He's lost every privilege of all of that. But here's how he says, I've seen you, God, in the sanctuary. Oh, watch it. He's remembering now. I've seen you in the sanctuary, and I've beheld your power and your glory. Okay, here's the first how you survive. He had a history to fall back on. Listen to him. Let me read it again. I have seen you in the sanctuary, and I have beheld your power and your glory. Listen, he had a history. How are you going to survive? By getting a history. You have to have a history with God. I don't want to offend you here, but I was a youth pastor for years and years, and I used to tell my young people, the time to make a decision about premarital, okay, you fill in the blanks, is not when you're in the back seat and the windows are fogged up. You make that determination now. You begin now. Mary begins now. We begin now with Annie and Brooks. We begin now. We're gonna start a history here, and we're gonna build from this day. Does that make sense? That's a crazy illustration, but the principle is you can't just la 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 la, and then you show up in the wilderness and you're like, God, where are you? You know what? We bail on Him when we break a nail. We do. We have a little tough time. We go, okay, God's not who He said He was. Really? Because you don't have a history with Him. You've been goofing off for 40 years spiritually, not doing what we're supposed to do, and then we hit this little tough time financially or an illness or whatever, and we bail and we go, okay, I'm chunking it all. Really? David's going, I have seen you, God. I have been in the sanctuary with you. I have seen your power and I've beheld your glory. He's looking for it all the time. Listen, I'm not going, wow, way to go me, but listen, every day I'm going, God, I want to see your glory today. I want to see you, God. I want to see you. I get a text from Dwayne he says his stuff, and go, yes, God, I see your glory. Thank you for what you're doing in Dwayne. And I'm seeing His glory. I'm here and at this job and here, and God doing things all around me, and I'm going, God, I've seen your glory. This isn't the sanctuary He's talking about. The sanctuary is inside of you. You are a temple of the Holy Spirit. God is doing things. Pay attention and start a history. Okay? Does that make sense? Sonia, you told me you got your hearing aids. Come on, girl. There you go. Amen. She said she had her hearing aids tweaked, and I said, all right, now you can hear me better. I want some more amens. Listen, we got to get a history. At the foot of my bed. We downsized after the flood, and we had to move. We're in this house, and I mean, my bedroom, Terry, she's been to all these women retreats, you know, like, oh, your bedroom ought to be the most beautiful place in your house. It ought to be the most inviting. Spend all of your money decorating your master bedroom because that needs to be your haven, and, you know. You ought to see our bedroom. It's like, I mean, it's got garage sale stuff in it. It's got all, anyway, at the foot of our bed is this keyboard. Our bedroom's also our music room. It's our computer room. I mean, you know, like the Comcast thing, for some reason, it's like, it starts in the master bedroom. And so like there's lights flashing everywhere, you know, the Comcast this, and you know, it's like a disco, and it's like you're trying to sleep. And boo, boo, boo. Anyway, so, but at the foot of our bed is this keyboard, and on top of the keyboard is one of Terry's journals. And I don't look into it, but I know it's there, and I know that every day she's writing down her history with God. This is what I saw today. Number 100. It's. I think you're probably doing that now. Do you know that? Yeah. It's some of her 1,000 gifts thing. For those of you ladies that like, if you have time, it's pretty time consuming. There's a lady named Ann Voskamp, and the website is holyexperience.com. But one of the things she talks about is it's 1,000 gifts, and she encourages ladies, or I guess guys could do it. I don't follow women on the internet, but so she has this 1,000. You write down 1,000 gifts that you see, and so it's like, you know, I heard Mary singing, Merry Christmas in the middle of July, you know, or something. I mean, it's a gift. It's these little, when you begin to recognize that's a gift from God. And so here's this journal at the foot of my bed where Terry's been going, and it's her history. And it's like, wow. And there will come a day when Terry will walk through something, and it'll go back to that book in the disco music computer room of our little house on Main Street. Oh yeah. I know that God. That God will sustain me in this because I have a history. Right? Get to work. Stop goofing off. Go after Him with all you got. Go get a history. Remember the story? Our friends from college, and we hadn't seen him in a while, and he comes, and he had this ministry in downtown Fort Worth, homeless people. He'd stick a thermos under this arm and a box of donuts, and he would go down there and minister to homeless people. He's preaching, he's praying over them. People are getting saved, people are getting all, and it's like 4 in the morning, and Terry and I are going, tell me another story, Mike. And he looks at me and goes, go get your own story. That's you today. Go get your own history, not my history. I'll be happy to share mine with you. I will love Jesus with everything I've got in front of you. My family, I will expose everything in our house to show you how we're a family after God. I can do all of that, but I can't do it for you. Go get your own. Amen. And I will praise you. Let's see, I've seen you in the sanctuary and beheld your power and your glory. That's the first one. Because your love is better than life. You got to get to know His love now. You got to know His love for you now. Because if you wait until you get in St. Thomas Hospital or whatever, it's going to disintegrate. He loves you. And every day you got to come to Him. Father, speak to me your love for me. You got to dig in here. I mean, like voracious, like clawing at this. I am going to find the love of God. You got to get after this, okay? I met some sweet visitors on the back row, and it's like, okay, now they may not be back. No, I'm playing. I really don't get this worked up. All right, okay. Because your love is better than life, my lips will glorify you. Okay, here we go. The third one. Let's keep going at verse 4. I will praise you as long as I live, and in your name I will lift up my hands. The fourth way, is it the fourth one? The third. The third way to survive the wilderness is you better learn how to worship. You better learn how to glorify. You better get comfortable. Okay, now I'm not saying this is the posture, okay? But David's going, I will lift up my hands in your name. I mean, it's like if you look, when you read through David, you see 7 postures of worship. And we're not going to get into all that today. At some point we will. There's kneeling, there's standing, there's prostrate, there's hands in the air, there's head bowed. There's 7 different postures. Listen, you better get familiar with them. I mean, I've told you this before too. When I die and I go to heaven, I just want it to be a lateral move. It's like, hey, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm not going to get there and going, oh, what in the world are they doing? No, it's like, okay, I did that yesterday and now I'm doing it here today. That's awesome. Listen, we got to learn how to worship. Not just play at it. Not just sing a bunch of old songs. Now, some of those are awesome. I'm not knocking that. This isn't about all of that. But my worship, I can't survive today on my worship of yesterday. I can't. It's today. And it has to be fresh. And it has to be real. And it has to be alive. Right, Erica? I mean, Erica and Abby go to the Passion Conference in Atlanta and come back and like, holy cow. I mean, here's all these tens of thousands of college students. Is it 60,000? 44,000 college kids living this verse right here, just hungry for God. Worship. Listen, you got to learn how to worship. That's kind of just weird. Wah. We got to get over it. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about Him. You know? It's like I want to learn. It's like a foreign language. I have to learn that language. I want to learn the language of worship. I want to know the language of what pleases God. If you want to survive the wilderness tomorrow, you better learn how to worship today. Thank you, Sonia. Okay. Verse 5, my soul will be satisfied as with the richest of foods. My soul will be satisfied. If you're going to survive the wilderness, you better learn to be satisfied today. To be content today. We always are like talking about tomorrow. If I only this, if only this, if only this, if only this happens or that happens, or you know what? It may not. We've got to get okay today. All right? My soul will be satisfied as rich as food. With singing lips, my mouth will praise you. On my bed, I remember you. This kind of ties back with the history. But listen, you got to have something to remember. Have something to remember. This will sound crazy. Terry and I, and again, it's not about Terry. I don't know of a better way to use illustrations. I will never buy a 1,000 illustrations for pastor book, and tell you this made up story somewhere. All I know to do is just to tell you what I've lived out, okay? For years, we've been married 30 some odd years, and every year we've made it a point to go to at least one, if not many more, either retreat, conferences, or whatever, to pursue God. A lot of them have to do with marriage, but basically it's, God, we want to learn more about you. I want to soak up. I read all the time. We watch. We listen. I'm all of these things. Terry's like doing her little journal. I mean, always like, I want to remember. I want to have something to remember. And so we dig through old notes. Remember this? Yeah. Remember when what's-his-head said, when Walt Wiley said this, and remember when this guy said, if you're take notes, not that I don't think I'm awesome, but you make a way to remember. So that when you get in the wilderness, you can go, I remember. I remember I was in high school, and I was on a retreat in Cloudcroft, New Mexico. This little ski resort town. Like for beginners, which I am. And so we were at this retreat, and we had this guy who led the retreat named Phil Hall. It was the most fabulous. This guy taught better than anybody I'd ever heard or since in my life. It was the most creative, vibrant, fresh. And so years later, and what's so weird is, Terry used to play piano at Glorieta encampment in New Mexico. Anybody ever been to Glorieta? No? Okay. It's like the Ridgecrest of the West. How many of you have been to Ridgecrest? 3. Okay, well, all right, that's falling apart. Anyway, Southern Baptists own 2 large pieces of property. Ridgecrest, North Carolina, Glorieta, New Mexico, right out of Santa Fe. And it's just hundreds of acres where churches from all over, except for Charlotte Road, go to these conferences and stuff. And so there's these, Terry played piano at Glorieta, all this in the summers and stuff, because she grew up like 45 minutes from there. I mean, just thousands and thousands of people. Well, she remembered this guy named Phil Hall. Well, we met in college. Terry and I were like best friends before we started dating. We'd talk about Phil Hall. So I call Phil Hall out of the blue. And I go, "You don't remember me? I'm from Kermit, Texas. But you did a retreat one time. Could I work for you?" "Yeah, you'll have to support yourself, but you can work for me." So I spent a summer working for him, just like soaking up everything this guy would say. Just every word that came out of his mouth, I was just latching onto so I could remember. And I would write this stuff down. And today, part of who I am is because of my remembering how God used Phil Hall in my life. Get something to remember. Okay? Have something to remember. On my bed I remember you, I think of you through the watches of the night. Because of your help, here it comes, I sing in the shadow of your wings. If you're going to survive the wilderness, be familiar with the shadow of His wings. My favorite, there's so many, my favorite other verse that's in is, let me read this to you. Psalm 91. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. Here it is. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart, and you will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. And he keeps going, because of the shadow of His wings. Get familiar. Get comfortable there. Start pressing into the presence of God. Getting comfortable. It's the picture of a mother hen getting her chicks up under her wing. Listen, get familiar with that. Oh God, I come to you. I come in worship. I come in praise. I come with a memory. But more than that, I come for you to cover me. Cover me, God. Cover me. Isn't that awesome? Get familiar. Get comfortable being right there in this, just right next to the heart of God. One more. And my soul clings to you. Your right hand upholds me. Listen, don't let the wilderness be the first time you've held hands with God. He's telling me, I'm holding hands, your right hand, God. Listen, today, find a way to do it. Somehow today, here's your homework. Go hold hands with God. Get comfortable holding hands with God, so that when you're in the wilderness, it's not like, okay, I'm a little uncomfortable here. Listen, I mean, does He lock His hands? Does He do this? Does He? What does God learn what He likes? Hold hands, walking side by side with God. God, I'm walking with You today. You get up tomorrow. God, I'm walking with You today. I'm holding hands with You today, God. Does that make sense? Listen, I'm telling you, the wilderness is coming. If it's not already here. It is. I mean, I'm going to do it. If we had a show of hands, it'd probably be more than half of you going, I'm in the wilderness today. Listen, I hope you got some of that going for you. I'm not angry. I'm not. I'm so passionate about this because here's what I'm after. I'm not the angry preacher that's like, no, it's like, listen, we're walking together. I've been telling you that from day one. I am going to walk with you and you're going to walk with me. And so we have to help each other. And I'm trying to help you go, all right, the wilderness is coming. We got to get ready. And here's how you do it. And those things I just get passionate about. Get a history. Learn what He's like. Learn to worship so that it's not weird to you. Learn to hold the hand of God. Have something to remember. All of those kind of things so that we can survive together in those times. And so that I'm comfortable going, Janet, I've not had this, but I know God. And I'm going to walk with you. The Jesus in me is going to walk with the Jesus in you. And together we're going to press in under the wings, the feathers of God. And everything's going to be okay. You know? I don't want to be the kind of guy that goes, oh God, that freaks me out. I can't be near Janet. I don't know what to say. Listen, learn what to say. What a lame excuse. And you learn what to say in the presence of God. Right? And it's not this. Please, I'm not asking you to do this. Oh, Janet, I'm praying for you, sister. I mean, okay, if you are, awesome, but don't let it just be this blah, blah, blah. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not, here's what I'm saying. It's just, don't say what you think she needs to hear. That's the point. Okay, I wish I could take that sentence back because some of you took it wrong. I took it back. All right. It's like, I'm just like, well, we're just so good at that. Well, praise the Lord. We just spout things out, and we don't even know what we're saying. I remember when my mom died. My dad told the story of, you know what, the most memorable visit I had that I remember. What, Daddy? See, it was when J.R. Manning, who happened to be the pastor at First Baptist Church, Kermit. J.R.'s wife and my mom were like sisters. And J.R. was like one of my spiritual mentors. So we were very close. And so when my mom died, J.R. came to our house and he sat on the end of the bed with my dad and cried and never said a word. And got up and left. And my dad goes, you know what the best visit I had? That one. See, it's not what you say or don't say. It's like J.R. helped my daddy in the wilderness by not saying a word. Because he brought the God he knew to minister to where my dad... Does that make sense? I love you. I love you so much. And I'm sorry to tell you that there is stuff coming that will take your breath away. Death, divorce, bankruptcy. I pray not. Let me just say financial stuff. Where your adult children crush your heart. Where your parents crush your heart. Well, I just like, just all of these things. That day is coming. Let's be ready. Let's be ready for that wilderness to go where it's not, we're not shot. We go, wait a minute. I know God, and I know He's going to be present with me as I press into Him, and so that I will walk through this, able to say as David, I think I'll lie down and go to sleep now. Wow! You got all these guys that, hey, I'm going to take a nap. Listen. Wow. Tell me what you heard.
Worship needs to be fresh every day.
Thank you. Good. Good. Get a history. Oh, thanks.